welcome all to my new video. Well, at least for a while. Okay, today will be an epic battle of epic proportions. We will come to facts with what makes the cinematic scene the way they are, whether it be sad, funny, or even nostalgic. Now, you may think that I'll be talking about games in general. Oh heavens no, Are You Nuts will be here all day. But I can relate this to one special moment, or well, a couple of special moments in the final Kingdom Hearts 3 game. I'll be here to bug you guys on which of the 2 or maybe 3 trios had the most saddest, moving, or bittersweet reunions that happened towards the end of the game. To be quite frank, it's gonna be all of them. Honestly, I can't pick it, but maybe you can. But before that, I want to say a big thank you for the March Caprice team for having me on their schedule today. To be real, I've joined this event back to back for a few years now, and I think it's been, a sweet and comfy ride. So supportive and very nice to me when issues happen too. All in all, you guys are helping the Kingdom Hearts community a lot. So yeah. Okay, enough of that sappy stuff. Let's get the show started. Okay, so I went to college, therefore I'm gonna milk all the money they milked out of me and my poor big brain here. So let's start with an operative definition. It's not a scary thing, it just means I'll be making up a definition and use that to support my argument. So let's define what makes a cinematic scene memorable. Okay, many things play a part here, whether it may be a strong graphics, important words or phrases, and or even how things are set up. But I think we can all say that if we know the context and see the emotions rising in the scene, it can grab our attention. They have to have meaning, and that meaning has to come across hard-hitting or just enough that makes us gasp in our seats and even pointing at the screen. So with that, I say that the definition I'll be using is that cinematic scenes with strong emotions and context will be our goal today. Now, I'm aware that everyone has their own ideas and experiences, so this definition may not work for everyone, but for today, you'll be hopping on this type of train thought for me. Now that we have our main goal decided, let's bring in the contestants. In the oldies corner, I'm sorry, the Wayfinder Trio is old. We have the Wayfinder Trio. Character 1, Aqua. This elegant ballet dancer of a lady is the definite mom of the trio. She and Terra were the top Keyblade candidates at the time, and she came out being the only confirmed Keyblade master with Terra, failing due to darkness. To make her story short, she was told to help out with the Unversed after, and then also look out for Terra. And well, one of her 2 objectives were completed. She did try her best to help both Terra and Ventus actually, but well, dealing with essentially 2 Ventuses and Vanitas, and trying to stop one from killing the other, and then also keeping the light Ventus from dying by accident does a lot to you, really. And then trying to tell your darkness liable friend that, oh, I spied on you, and then trying to help him out only for him to come back Norton is a whole other crazy fruit basket. And then Aqua, being the friend she is, tries to fight back Terra, only to end up getting stuck in darkness alone for gosh knows how long is another issue. Moving on, character number 2, we have Terra. This man was most likely the blueprint of Riku because sweet cornflakes I was gripping my bonnet in stress. So the guy doesn't pass his exam, and that's okay, stuff happens, Xehanort happens. So he gets tasked with helping out with the Unversed as usual. But why on this beautiful green planet would you help the bad guys in each Disney world? I was thinking maybe it's a mistake, but it wasn't. But then again, the villains knew how to word things in a way to trick him, so honestly, I leave that all to bad luck. During this time, he becomes in cahoots with our favorite Mr. Clean Guy, and becomes a Keyblade Master through him. Or appointed one, I guess, I don't know. Then it just all goes downhill from there. Guy goes back to Land of Departure, and then Master Ericus dies, and then fights with Xehanort at the Keyblade graveyard, and then boom, Norton. Then his armor becomes alive through his will. Then he loses his memory after Aqua tries to save him, and it's just honestly bad luck. I really feel bad for the guy, really I do. Alright, character number 3, Ventus, the baby boy. In my opinion, he was just that one kid who ended up in a party that he didn't know how he got into. Also, I refuse to talk about anything union related since that's just another bag of issues. So we're just gonna talk about Birth by Sleep here. So far, my boy gets wrecked by Xehanort about 2 times. One at the very start when he brings him to Destiny Island, and then the second part was when he almost got frozen to a popsicle. To begin with, he watches his 2 best friends duke it out for the mastery exam and then sees them get a mission to help with the Unversed. He ends up following after them to join in and be strong. And during all this, we have the boogeyman in the corner, aka Vanitas, who's just adding more fuel to the fire of Ventus getting scared. In the end, he gets a rude awakening from Xehanort, frozen to an inch of his life, fights his doppelganger, and then just gets ejected from his body. Floats over to another baby boy, Sora, and has his body stored in the land of departure, aka Castle Oblivion, by Aqua. Now, mind you, I know this recap was really not a recap, but I gotta give y'all some type of context here. Okay, now that we have all the characters covered, let's talk about their reunion. I'm probably gonna say this like in a nice, waxy poet way. So I don't think I was the first, nor will I be the last when I say that Terra's intro scared me. Look, no Guardian is ever supposed to talk. That creeped me out. Thank you very much. Okay. Here we have Sora, Ventus, and Aqua fighting off Vanitas and the now Norded Terra, who's honestly I think is just Xehanort in there right now. So I'll be skipping Vanitas and moving to the cutscene. So, after Terra goes down, we see Aqua and Ventus calling out to him in desperation and longing. Both Ventus and Aqua have both gotten their strength and power to get their friend back and are almost reaching to the end. Terra hears this, hears his friends calling out and wanting to finally see him. But you forget that this whole time Terra's been fighting Xehanort in his heart, and over time has gotten weaker, but is still remaining in his will to fight back. Sadly, it's not enough, and Xehanort takes control by wrapping chains of darkness around all 3 of our heroes, hanging them for their judgment. After a bit of monologuing and using Terra's face to send chilling messages, despair fills up all 3. Aqua and Ventus are swung around to the puppeteering strings of Xehanort. Cries are heard as they're whiplashed around. All the while Sora cries for him to stop, and not calling for Xehanort, but for Terra to stop and to come back. It's all for nothing as Sora raises his head to see both Aqua and Ventus incapacitated. All that was heard before the puppeteer dropped the 2 cast members in his plate was that I kept my promise from Ventus. All of a sudden we see a Guardian of Darkness fly surprisingly to the rescue of the puppets who were just released from their roles. Even Xehanort was in shock. Just as he was about to complain, the Guardian had appeared behind and gripped his face, as it was trying to rip the bandaged X strap over his mouth. It struggled to rip them off, and when it did, only after a cough did it rather try to speak, or rather he tried to speak. He wanted to make things right and protect his friends, and that he did. After seeing who was trying to appear, Sora sent over his power of light, and then paired with Terra's heart successfully pushed out Xehanort, winning finally in the Battle of Hearts. Terra, once more back in his body, relished in freedom but ran to his downed friends soon after, crying their names as they did to his once. Cradling Ventus, Aqua woke up and saw him. Feeling disbelief, she asked, "Is it you?" With a smile, he confirmed it. He was back, crying tears even as Ventus woke up. Now, as a roundup in this scene, we can see the desperation from both Aqua and Ventus. They trained for this moment to get their friend back. Aqua, who was left in darkness after saving Terra instead of herself, and Ventus, who'd only just been woken up to remember his dear friend. Both so excited and anticipating the reunion of them all together. Imagine the feeling of almost reaching a friend after so long of being apart, but something interferes with that. Basically, all the paths they walked in Birth by Sleep was nothing full of misunderstanding and miscommunications. Ventus, who wanted to not be left out and be a part of his friends who were growing stronger than him, Aqua, who tried her best to keep everything in line but ended up falling into darkness when all she wanted to do was keep her friends close, and Terra, who wanted to be the strongest but was taken advantage of by Xehanort. All this leads up to the reunion of the Wayfinder Trio. In total, I placed this reunion as quotation, I don't know, nostalgia, pining, or pinning, I don't know, and longing. The term nostalgia really fits here because if you think about it, there were only really a few moments they were all really ever together, and in those moments, there were events that were trying to drive them apart either way. Each of them were trying to do things to reach each other actually. Aqua was trying to watch over Terra and Ventus, Ventus trying to find Terra to make sure he's safe, and Terra, in the end, trying to stop Xehanort from hurting his friends. All these paths were trying to intersect with each other, but honestly, I think it was just bad luck maybe? And obviously the planning of Xehanort, but you know. They all just really miss each other and they wanted to see each other smile once more. So basically, we miss each other, quotation marks. And so we crowned this Wayfinder Trio, or Wayfinder crew, Nostalgia Reunion. Yay! Now, on to the next group, which is the Twilight Trio. So, as you all know, this isn't like Birth by Sleep where you can pick the characters and like, you know, jump in where you want to jump in. So the story is pretty linear. Now I'm going to say this nice and easy for you all to understand the context. Okay. We begin with Roxas. He was created shortly after the baby boy, Sora, jabbed himself in the heart and turned into a Heartless. As you know, I'm honestly saying this because I need to reaffirm myself. If you separate the heart from the body, you get a nobody and a Heartless. Sora was the Heartless and Roxas was the nobody. Xemnas had found him and added him to the Organization 13 roster that had literally almost everyone from Radiant Garden. Yeah, I just noticed, I'm sorry. After a few more days, in comes Xion as a 14th member, oopsies. Afterwards, Axel and Roxas have become buddies and are now friends who eat ice cream together on a nice sunset day on that good old clock tower. Soon after, Axel goes to Castle Oblivion for a mission, and so Roxas ends up meeting Xion and becomes the best buds, aka eat ice cream at the tower and look at the sun. So, problem is, Axel got into some trouble, and also Roxas got sent into a coma because Sora went to go fix his memories. And so Xion takes over missions for the Organization 13 for now. Roxas wakes up after a long while and goes back to doing what he's doing, you know, the usual missions. Axel comes back, yay! But Xion is having some issues with her Keyblade. But all three make a deal where, to make sure she doesn't get in trouble, she'll pair up with Roxas for a few missions so they can hide it. But no worries, she gained the ability back alright. You know, I hope you can hear the sarcasm. And also, now, all three are best buddies, yay! Another problem. Axel finds out where Xion was created and leaves to find more info in Castle Oblivion, and he tells the trio he'll be gone for a while. Axel comes back, but Xion is in her room now because she got called a sham. Alright, a sham by Riku. And now, it's a whole switcheroo. And it's Xion who ends up in a coma now and is actually pretty weak. So yeah, it kind of turns out that Xion and Roxas has some of Sora's memories, and without those memories, Sora can't wake up. Due to that, Xion runs away to find answers about herself in Castle Oblivion, but she ends up coming back to Organization 13 after Axel knocks her out and brings her back. The important thing here is that the crew kind of hasn't spent time with each other and they're kind of like falling out of love a little bit. Another issue, turns out that Roxas has been getting weaker as he uses the Keyblade. And well, looks like Xion was actually created to copy Roxas' powers, so he's gonna be weaker as Xion exists. Here at this point, Xemnas tries to cut ties with one of them, saying that they have to fight and duke each other, so he can just take the one who wins. To which the two actually fight and get separated by Axel, so good thing he's there. And on another mission, Xion, Axel, and Xigbar end up having a little conversation and then also fighting, and that goes kind of big left. And then surprise, she runs away. And another surprise, so does Roxas after a conversation that goes very out of hand with Axel. We now zoom over to Naminé and Xion where they meet, and where Naminé tells Xion that if you give your memories back, no one's gonna remember you, bro. Naminé promises to watch over Roxas, but then Axel comes back and captures Xion again. Actually, I think they fought, but he won. Yay. The next time Roxas and Shion were able to talk to each other is when they both acknowledge that Sora connects them both. And boom, instant final boss scene. They start fighting, but then Roxas wins, and as Shion disappears, so does his memories of Shion. He gets kind of pissed off about that and tries to use Kingdom Hearts to bring her back, and Riku kind of comes back and says no, and beats him down. In the end of it all, Riku and Diz wipe his memory and just shove him off to Twilight Town. And well, Axel, I don't think he quite remembers Shion, but he still watches over Roxas. And then boom, into Kingdom Hearts 2, but we're not talking about that. Okay, honestly, this was the most simplest way of telling the story of 358 Days Over 2. Honestly, it does not matter as long as you guys know the basis of Axel, Shion, and Roxas. Okay, let's begin the reunion. Now, mind you, Axel has been getting flashes of Shion every time he looks at Kairi, and that's because like Shion does look like her, and also this reunion had a little bit more going on than the Wayfinder Trio actually. So in sake of time and interest, we're just gonna skip to the aftermath of each fight, or just give the quick rundown. Now, there's a lot to unpack. So first off, there's a lot of back and forth between Axel and Xemnas, mainly on how he, Axel, failed as a pawn in his game. Axel, being the person he is, bravely comes back with witty comebacks to show that he did do his part and is proud to have gotten this far with his friends. Doing this cemented his place as one of the Keyblade users and now Xemnas' enemy. Xemnas fires up his beam of light, ready to strike down a pawn that he deemed no longer fit. Right as he's about to run Axel through, a hand grips that very beam of light. The one who was cloaked and came with Xemnas. The cloaked figure spoke as if they were trying to reason that Axel shouldn't be destroyed. Xemnas then makes them choose to end Axel's life instead of Xemnas himself. With a shaky sigh, they rose up with their Keyblade aimed, but just like they did, Sora gripped their Keyblade to stop. With tears in his eyes, he pleaded for them to stop and at last mentioned their name, while deep in his heart, Roxas woke up to remember the forgotten member of his best friends. Back in real time, Xemnas had once more deemed another pawn useless, as the cloaked person started to regain their memories and pain, and with force merely kicked them to the side, knocking off their hood. It was then that after days of seeing a blurred figure, that Axel was able to recognize who this cloaked figure was. It was Shion. With desperation, Axel tried to save Shion while Roxas asked Sora a favor from within. A favor to get something back. Something that was a connection between him, Axel, and Shion. His heart leaves Sora and buries into another vessel from the previous organization members, scientists, to save Shion and join his friends once more. After a few skirmishes that left Sora and Kai out of battle, the three gathered their strengths to finally fight for their bonds, their sigils. It was the bond that kept them connected. However, Kairi had been taken and disappeared with Xemnas, leaving only Saïx as the last obstacle. After Saïx had been defeated and Axel reconciled with him, Sora, with the persistence of Axel, ran on to save Kairi. Now it was only the reunited friends just standing. Axel finally looked at Roxas with a smile. It had been such a long time since he'd seen him physically on his own, which was true. They hear a sniffle to the side of them. They looked only to see Shion whimpering and crying. Knowing what Axel does best, he makes a funny witty comment about them all that made them smile. All three came together in one powerful big hug. Tears gracing their eyes and small cries leaving their mouths. Now then, analyzing time of reunion number 2. Now, I would put this reunion as missing puzzle piece found, recollecting, and remembrances reunion. Okay, let's think about it like this. For example, you guys know that feeling of deja vu, right? You feel as though you've been through this before, you've seen this scene before, all that. This is what Axel had felt like every time he'd seen Kairi when they were training, or even when probably sea salt ice cream was mentioned. Once in a while, it's fine to feel this, but continuously means that something is missing. You're on the brink of just touching it, but it's just not clicking. It's annoying and sometimes even scary. You don't know it, but deep down you know it. This was Axel. This is how he felt. He knew that he should focus on Roxas because that's what he remembered. Roxas was his best friend and he wanted to help his friend and be stronger. but that hidden memory just kept inching back and was holding him, and he didn't know why. It wasn't until he was saved by Shion that he asked her, as she aimed her keyblade at him, "Who are you?" As the hoodie was forced off Shion, that's when it clicked and he remembered. All those blank spots filled with Shion. He knew her. Those days spent at the tower, looking on into the sun, that's his best friend, Shion. The same realization must have dawned at Roxas. I believe that he may have recognized Shion as well, but it probably wasn't until when Sora had pleaded with Shion to stop did Roxas start to even take action. The way I see it, the name Shion had a resonance through both Axel and Roxas. Inside Sora's heart resided Roxas' station of working, which I guess is his heart in a way, where one of the circles had now included Shion. This all stems from the feeling of remembrance. No one remembered Shion, sadly. In the end of 358 days, Roxas' memory started to fade right as she was fading in front of him. Imagine the memories of your closest friends, and your close friend, I guess, slowly fading away. It's like you're trying to catch water that's falling through your hands, but no matter how hard you try, it just can't be grabbed onto. At that time, so did Axel's, but he didn't recognize it, sadly. When a person finally remembers the lost memories of which they are trying to remember, it causes a big shift in view, perspective even. Axel finally gained more of a will to fight, and Roxas became his own person by having both the heart and the body. It's kind of like when you're completing a jigsaw puzzle. You finally find that one missing piece that gives a clear picture and perspective of everything, and overall a sense of happiness and completion. Now looking back on those fond memories that Roxas, Shion, and Axel share, they no longer look and feel empty or strange as if they shouldn't exist, but rather now they feel as if it's been so long and, well, the remembrance of it all. And the best part is that they're no longer bound by their master puppeteer, but rather by themselves. And with their own heart and bodies, they can create new memories and add on to the old ones as the trio they are. Well, how you feeling emotional? I know I am. I mean, I kind of had some sand in my eye as I, rewatched each trio go through the pain of missing their other halves. Nothing special. I can say that each reunion had their own important values though. The Wayfinder Trio with communication and connection, and the Twilight Trio with remembrance and recollection. Each trio shows us how important it is to have your friends and struggle only to come out all together as a unique bond. You gotta love the love, am I right, kiddos? Now, you may be wondering, what about the Destiny Trio? Honestly, I place them automatically on Bittersweet Reunion after everything my boy has been through. Okay, after all those games of trying to be the best person he could be through the power of friendship and love and power, trying to connect people who couldn't communicate, and trying to be the best boyo only to be sent to Quadrata because he tried to fix things too much. The Destiny Trio could have been the trio they're meant to be, but you gotta love the plot. Anywho, in conclusion, reunions are sometimes a painful thing because you have to remember the things you may not want to remember and are forced to say things that you've always kept in your heart, whether that be tears or words, all that good stuff. But being together with those you love makes it all better and worth it in the end. After all, wouldn't you be happy if you met that one friend who you just wanted to say, "I miss you and it's nice to see you back"? Well, that's it, folks. I'm squeezing so much time, but I'm here to wrap things up and give a proper closure. Thanks so much for hearing my brain worms out and listening. The biggest thank you to the March Caprice committee for letting me in the show and the festivities. And I also believe that there's maybe more after me. So give the next person some love and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Well, not really on the morrow, to be honest. I just like saying that because it sounds cool, but no, seriously. Bye, and may your wonderful, beautiful hearts be your guiding key.